Jai Hind students. So let's start with our class, and today's topic in our class is about the fertilization, gestation and parturation. So let us see first that what are these three words means actually. So fertilization means the formation of zygote, which is because of the fusion of the sperm cell and the zygote. Whereas gestation means the total time period when embryo is developing inside the woman's uterus. That period is called as gestation. Parturation means the delivery of young one is called as the parturation. So now let's start with all these three things what we have to study today is. So let us first see about the fertilization, that what it is. This is fertilization. Alright, so now what happens in the humans, the fertilization type of is internal. So inside the body, internal fertilization takes place. So we humans are the examples of internal fertilization, where fusion of gametes happen inside the body itself. Now, at the time of intercourse, there are about 300 to 400 millions of sperms are there which are released in the female's vagina. Now, these sperm cells moves and travels till the fallopian tube, and inside the fallopian tube, either of the ovary produces egg, right? Sorry, in the female's body, you know that. So, if egg is there in the fallopian tube, then these sperm cells will go and only one will be able to fuse with the egg cell. So after fusion it will form the zygote. So that kind of a fertilization happens in the human male and female. Sorry, in human female. So let us see and try to understand this with one of this example. Now what has happened over here, the sperm cells are here, they are traveling to the both the directions because these don't know that which ovary has produced egg at this particular time. So they are traveling all over. Now from this ovary, egg has been released and egg is over here in the ampulla isthmus region. Now what will happen, this sperm cells will come. Out of all these sperm cells, some will be there which are not of good quality, some will not be having good type of a flagella, they won't be able to travel. So the best ones will travel till over here, but the first one which will come in the contact of egg cell, that will be only able to fertilize with the egg cell. Alright, so when the acrosome, the cap-like structure which was of a sperm cell, it gets touched with the egg cell, then it spreads some chemical. Because of that, the other sperm cells cannot be able to fuse with this egg cell. So because of that, only one sperm cell fuses with this, and the fusion of sperm and zygote makes the sperm and egg makes the zygote. Now further, this zygote is going to do the division, it will do the cleavage, divide into 2 to 4 to 8 to 16 cell stages, and then further it will get implanted in the uterine cavity and develop to the embryo. So till here the formation of zygote is called as the fertilization. Now let's see, this we have done now. Now let's see after this fertilization what happens. So for example, here the fertilization has happened. Now rest of the sperm cells will be thrown out of the body. Now this zygote is going to do cleavage. It will start getting divided. So it will first develop into the morula, then blastula and then blastocyst. Okay. So now these zygote, this particular zygote is going to divide into 2 cell, then 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16 cell stage. So now here you can see this one is a zygote which is a fertilized egg now. This is going to be divided into the morula. Then from morula it will divide into the blastula, then blastomere means the divisions of the cells and cells. And now here the hundreds of cells ball will be here at this place. This is the uterine cavity and wall of uterus. At this place this cellular structure, which is a ball kind of, it will come and get touched over here. That is called as implantation. So when zygote has divided and converted itself into the hundreds of cells mass, a ball kind of a structure, it will travel from fallopian tube all the way to the uterus, touch to the uterine wall and get implanted over here, and then this will further develop into the embryo or the young baby. This is called as implantation. Alright. Now further we will see that this implantation gets converted and further it will develop the embryo inside it. Now this is the structure when embryo develops inside the uterus. So now when the embryo or is come in the contact of the uterine cavity and it touches the endometrium layer, if you remember we have already discussed the 3 layers of uterus, right? So if it touches the embryo, the outer layer, the inner layer endometrium, then the female is called as a pregnant. So now this female is pregnant because this embryo has come in the contact of the endometrium layer, which is the uterine cavity. Now a disc-shaped structure develops from the embryo and the uterine wall of the mother, and this structure is called placenta. This structure which you are watching over here, this is the placenta, which is a disc-shaped structure and touching to the uterine cavity. The work of placenta is to give oxygen supply to the embryo and to remove the waste of the embryo. As example, it's CO2, it's waste products. So the removal and to give oxygen, to give nutrition to the embryo is done by the placenta. So placenta gives nutrition, oxygen and removes waste of the baby. This tube-like structure which you can see over here, this is called as umbilical cord, and this is the connective line between mother plus embryo. So this line is a connection between the mother and the embryo, the young one. This sac-like, a pouch kind of a structure which you can see, this pouch kind of a structure is having amniotic fluid. This amniotic fluid is there to give support, to develop, to maintain, to balance the development and the growth of the young one. If someone has to check, do the sex determination, find out whether the child is girl, boy or any disease, any kind of thing, then through this amniotic fluid the sex determination can be done. It can be checked that whether the child is boy or a girl on a legal basis. This structure which you are watching, this is actually a fetus, a embryo or developing baby over here. This area is called as the cervix. So from here, at the time of a parturation, baby will be delivered. So now this total thing is called as the total gestation period. So till the time this embryo develops inside the uterus, that is called as the gestation period. So in humans, gestation period is about 280 days total, or you can say about the 40 weeks or the 9 months in the human female. So this is about the gestation period. Now let us discuss about the parturation. So we did fertilization, we did gestation, now parturation. Parturation, I have told you that this is the time when the baby delivers. So delivery time in the human female is called as the parturation. So now what happens in the parturation? A few weeks before the birth, the fetus usually turns over in the uterus so that it lies head downward, and just over the opening of the cervix, the child is born as a result of rhythmic contraction of muscles of the uterus wall. And this is done because of the oxytocin hormone which is released from your pituitary gland. So this happening or this process is done in the parturition. So now let us see the contraction of the myometrium layer, which you see we have discussed that the uterus is having 3 layers: endometrium, myometrium and perimetrium. So the myometrium which is there, that starts getting contraction on the release of the oxytocin hormone. So the labor pain which female feels or goes through at the time of a parturition, that is just because of that shrinking or contraction of the myometrium layer of the uterus. So this is about the parturition, and then after the child takes birth through the cervix. Here the cervix mucus which is there, because of the contraction of myometrium, it gets ruptured, the amniotic sac, it gets burst, the fluid comes out, and then later the baby gets delivered. So this is about the parturition. So now let's see that what is lactation. Lactation means the time or the period when female feeds young one with the milk through mammary gland. So as you know, in the mammalians, mammary gland is the most important feature which explains, right? So lactation is that time period or that process which is done by the human female complete time when she feeds her young one with the milk from the mammary gland. So this is the lactation. Now in lactation there is a word called colostrum. Colostrum is the first milk which gets produced when female gives birth to the young one. So this is the first milk, which is a bit yellowish in color. This one is really very important for the baby's immunity. So this colostrum milk should be always fed or given to the young one so that it can build immunity for its lifelong. It is that important for a kid or for the newly born baby. So if it is asked that what is the first milk cord, it's always colostrum, which is rich in vitamins, which is rich in giving immunity to the young one. So this is all about the human reproductive system. Parturation, gestation, fertilization, we have already discussed about the reproductive parts of the male, female, primary sex organ, secondary sex organ, primary and secondary sexual characters. So here we have ended with the human reproductive system. So thank you for watching the video.